Welcome to Cape Chronicle. I'm Jacob McClellan. Froggy Friday will be April the 5th at the Nature Center in Cape Girardeau. Here to talk a little about Froggy Friday and why frogs are such an important part of the ecosystem is naturalist Greg Jacobs from the Missouri Department of Conservation. Greg, thank you so much for coming by to talk with us.
Well, thanks for having me. I enjoy being here.
First off, you brought some friends. Let's see, what have you brought here? Who are these guys?
Well, I've got two of our native frogs here. One is in the frog family, but he's actually a toad. She, I should say, is an American toad, and then I brought a green tree frog. Both are native to this part of Missouri.
And that has got to be one of the fattest toads I think I've ever seen. That
She's
thing is
pretty
huge.
big. Yeah, we keep her well fed, but toads too a lot of times puff themselves out with air. So even though she looks like she's overly fed, that a lot of that is just airspace in there. So, but yeah, she's not hurting for food. Yeah.
Well, tell us a little bit about Froggy Fridays. This is coming up on April the 5th at the Nature Center. What can one expect if they show up for this?
Sure. Well, Froggy Friday has been an event that we've done for the last couple of years, just kind of celebrating frogs and the diversity of frogs, and it's kind of a subject that a lot of people are curious about, or just outright like frogs and are curious. So we do it every year. It's a time when people can come in. And at the Nature Center, we focus on things that are native to Missouri. So when people come in, they're not going to see things from other countries. They're going to learn about our own frogs. And what we do is we start at 5 o'clock. We go to 9. Every hour, on the top of the hour, we do a presentation on what kind of frogs we have here. And then we take people out actually to see what's out there and listen to the frog calls right now. Spring is a big time to hear frogs too.
And this will be a very kid-friendly evening.
Whole family, yep. Yeah, our trails are very accessible to the whole family, so a lot of times we have very little ones coming out that either ride on the shoulders of mom or dad, but yep, the whole family is it's accommodating too.
So right now, if you go out in the springtime here in Missouri, you'll hear some frogs kind of providing the soundtrack for a lot of for a lot of spring evenings. What types of frogs are we hearing?
Yeah, already we've been getting frogs that have been calling with us just a few warm days. But the biggest one now is the spring peeper. They are just very tiny frogs. I know right now we hear cricket frogs, and those will be out very soon too. But spring peepers are actually able to freeze solid in the wintertime. They can, the water around their cells freeze, but their cells don't. So those are one of the first ones to come out in the spring.
So how many different frog species are there in southeast Missouri?
We have, I'm not sure in southeast exactly how many. In Missouri we have 26 different species and what they call subspecies. But here I would say at least 20 of those 26 are right here in Missouri.
In the tree frog and the American toad that we have here. These
Toads are very prevalent. The green tree frog really liked the swamps that were here more before people came and settled. A lot of our original swampland in southeast Missouri has been cleared, but were once very much more common than they are now. But
well, what really are kind of the preferred ecosystems, preferred habitats? I mean, for frogs.
Usually anywhere wet. A lot of our spring frogs, like the spring peepers, wood frogs, that's a leopard frog that's singing right now. But some of those frogs will actually come to the ponds in the spring to lay their eggs, and then they leave, and they won't come back until next spring. And those are typically the frogs that are able to freeze in the wintertime and have that adaptation. But anywhere wet, so even ditches, roadsides, that's all, believe it or not, valuable habitat for frogs.
And is that part of why they're such a good bioindicator?
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
And what exactly does that mean?
Well, a bioindicator is basically kind of our canary in the coal mine type thing. When there's any pollution in the water, frogs are susceptible to that. They have a skin that's not unlike ours. It's a porous skin. They soak up any contaminants that are in the water. So if the frogs start disappearing, that's usually a warning sign that something might be wrong.
Okay. Could we take out our one of our friends over here just to get a look?
Yeah, let's get out the toad here. I'm not sure about the tree frog because we might end up chasing that one around if we do get her out. But the toad, I think, would be more than happy to. So I don't know about happy, but she will come out at any rate. So there is our American toad. I don't know if we're able to get in on that. But yeah, look how she's puffed out with air right now. She's not quite sure. So as a defense mechanism, toads will make themselves bigger in the wild so things can't eat them. They're an important food source for a lot of snakes, birds, mammals even, other things. So they eat a lot of insects, but they are eaten by a lot of things. So that is kind of her defense, is to puff out.
puff out and look
Yeah.
bigger than she look bigger than she really is.
Yeah.
Where could you find one of these?
Well, these ones, again, very, very soon. They have just a beautiful trill in the springtime when they go and you hear this long, kind of trilling, melodic sound. A lot of people assume are birds, but they're the toads, the American toads. So they come to the kind of the temporary ponds in the spring, lay their eggs, and then they leave. So you can find these in your yard, in your gardens, way out in sandy areas, and that warty skin kind of helps them to keep them from drying out. So they're pretty common everywhere in your yard or garden. So.
Now, globally, frog, toad, amphibian populations have been suffering. Are we seeing similar population declines in Missouri?
Not that I've heard about too many. We do have a few rare species, and I think most of those are due to habitat disappearance. As humans, we've changed an awful lot of things, not only here in southeast Missouri, but all over the place. But if you don't have the habitat, no matter what animal is, you won't have the animal. So I think one of the biggest things is just ponds, wetlands, different areas are just gone. Along with that, they have to have things around them like trees and things. You can't just have water and expect them to be there. So we've changed things, and I think world over that's causing a big decline in amphibian populations.
Well, and something else about frogs would be frog gigging, frog hunting. Tell us a little bit about about this. Is this something that's still popular here in the southeast Missouri?
It is, yes. Two species of frogs here you can actually that are considered game species: the bullfrog and the green frog. The bullfrog, of course, gets quite large. Twice the size. Well, probably 10 times the size of this little toad here. And those are the most popular. So the ones that you would find at the restaurant, the frog legs, would be bullfrogs and then green frogs. So end of June to end of October, that is actually considered a game species that people can go out and gig frogs, which basically means spear them.
Sure. What's exciting about frog hunting?
I think just getting out and they are actually quite hard to catch sometimes. You get anywhere close and they jump, and it's just hard to find them. So yeah.
And what do you do? How do you prepare frog legs?
Well, I think it's a matter of opinion, depending on who you ask. A lot of people fry them, deep fry them, bake them. There's a lot of different ways you can prepare them. So I think it just depends on who you're asking. But basically fry them, kind of like wings that you would get.
Froggy Friday is April the 5th at the Cape Girardeau Conservation Nature Center. Greg Jacobs, thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome. I'd shake your hand, but I have a toad in it.